to show you guys how to make the easy oatmeal breakfast cookies that I have been talking about for probably almost a decade now. They are one of the most popular recipes on my website, and I stock them in my house every day, every week, every month. You can make a batch, keep them in the fridge, put them in the freezer. They're actually delicious straight out of the freezer, particularly in the summer months when it's super hot. But they're super versatile. Just because they're called breakfast doesn't mean anything. You can eat them at any time of the day. They're full of great nutritious ingredients. And so here we go. So we're going to start with 4 ingredients: bananas, almond butter, maple syrup, and vanilla. And we're going to blend those in this bowl and then add more things. So today I'm going to double the recipe. It normally calls for 1 banana. Now look at these bananas. These are the tiniest bananas. So I think 1.5 would be reasonable if you have such a small banana. So since I'm doubling it, I'm going to use 3 bananas, and I'm going to break the bananas up just a little bit. So I'll break those up, and then we're going to talk about adding the almond butter next. All right, so for the almond butter, we are going to add 1/2 cup. And I'm going to do that twice since I'm doubling the recipe. You'll just scoop that into your 1/2 cup measure. Flatten it out across the top, and you're good to go. And if you're making a double batch, go again like I am. Honestly, they freeze really well. They keep for a long time, just even in the fridge, so I never have seen them go bad. Okay, so there's my second one. And our next ingredient is maple syrup. So normally we would do a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. So today I will do a 1/2 cup. Okay, then our next ingredient will be the vanilla. I've been buying vanilla in this powdered form, vanilla powder. So sometimes I add a little water to make up for the fact that I'm not using a liquid vanilla, but it calls for 2 teaspoons. So today I'm going to use 4 teaspoons, which is a tablespoon plus a teaspoon. Tablespoon plus a teaspoon. All right, and then I'm going to blend it all with the immersion blender. So I've got a little blending blade at the bottom of my immersion blender. All right, and when it's blended, you'll have this nice creamy mixture of the almond butter, maple syrup, bananas, and vanilla. Now, if you're opposed to using the maple syrup, you could use a date syrup. So you would take dates, put them on the stove in water, blend them up, and make a date paste, and then use that in place of the maple syrup. All right, now I forgot to tell us to preheat the oven. So 350 on the oven. Get that going. So we preheated the oven to 350, and now we're going to add some oats. So we want a cup of oats. I'm doubling it to 1/2, 1, 1.5, and 2. I'm also going to add some whole wheat pastry flour, 1/4 cup. So I'm going to double it. So I use Bob's Red Mill 100% stone ground whole wheat pastry flour. There are some other brands that also sell whole wheat pastry flour that you can find. And it works really well when you're doing baked goods, but you still want to have the whole grain. So I've got double that. And then a 1/4 cup of flaxseed. So same thing. I've got ground flaxseed here. If you've got whole flax seeds, make sure you grind them before you put them in here. And then we're going to add some baking soda. So 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm doubling it to a whole teaspoon. And then cinnamon. So 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, I'm doubling it. So 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon for this double batch. Once you make these one time, you'll realize why I'm making a double batch. They disappear like that. Okay, now I'm going to stir those dry ingredients into my wet ingredients. If you're at a higher altitude, a lot of times when I make these on vacation and we go to the mountains, I add a little water, maybe 2 tablespoons or so. And so it looks like this. Okay, so we've got a nice batter here. And now I'm going to add in chocolate chips and raisins. Now if you don't like chocolate chips, just leave them out. If you don't like raisins, leave those out. But the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of each, so I'm doubling that. So I've got a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. And a 1/2 cup of raisins. Stir those in. And we're going to be ready to put these onto our cookie sheets, either on parchment paper or Silpats or some sort of surface that will be easy to get the cookies off of once you remove them from the oven. Okay, so I feel like this is a little bit dry today, and I think it's because my bananas were so small. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. Don't be afraid of the water. I'm just gonna use this 1/4 cup measure because this is 4 tablespoons. So I'm just gonna fill it halfway. I've got 2 tablespoons worth of water, and I'll just put a little bit in there. You can always add more, but you can't take it back out. So tread lightly. But I think I'm gonna use both tablespoons. I have about 2 more tablespoons of water in here. Oh, and I did use the dry vanilla, the powdered vanilla, so that's probably the difference for me. Probably why it felt a little bit dry. All right, I've cleared off my space. I'm pulling over my cookie sheets, and I've got my scooper, and I'm going to, you can just do this with a spoon if you want to, but I love using this scooper. They're all about the same size. It's easy to get it off of the scooper because it's got the squeeze handle. It's like an eject button for cookie dough. All right, they're ready to go in the oven. So we will put them at 350 for 14 minutes. All right, so the timer's just gone off, 14 minutes have gone by. Let's check our cookies. And they look great. So I'm gonna get those out and just set them on the stove to cool, and when they're cool, I will transfer them into some Tupperware and put in the fridge. All right, I hope you enjoy them.